11:30. That's the day, not the time. We're about to head into the holiday season, and I've been watching of a lot of YouTubers that I used to watch before, up to and including Mike the Naked Bigfoot, and I noticed there was I was on the South Cac channel, and they were discussing how every time somebody gets discredited in the paranormal community, there's a group of people that all run out and they're like with their pitchforks and look, see, everything is fake. And what's happening is they're making a mistake, and the mistake is that when you're going out and you're filming things that are paranormal and you're trying to do it for money, there is an incentive to fake, elaborate, words like that evidence, but that doesn't mean that everything is fake. There was a movie I was very fond of as a child. It was the Last Unicorn, and in it there was a witch. I am, hey Amy, oh that's great. I didn't realize I would see the comments right there. I'm doing it this way because this is how Mike used to do it, and this isn't going to be like Mike. Mike had a lot of stories. He lived a very full life. I've got a lot of stories too, but as far as supernatural and paranormal go, I have a handful. I don't have enough where if I did this for any length of time, it would be unsustainable. But what I do have is I have good reasons for believing the things that I believe, and it is offensive to me that there are people like the South Cacs mentioned that will take one moment that's where something's been discredited and act like it's everything. It is the equivalent of zooming in with your camera really tight, and it's like, well, this is the whole world. That is not the whole world. You are looking at this is a photograph. This is one moment, one place, and one time, and the person there did have an incentive to fake these things. So I'm going to start coming out live, and I'll be able to interact, answer questions, that sort of thing, to give you guys the reasons that I have to believe in the things that I believe. James, how's it going? So today I wanted to, because the holiday season is upon us, I wanted to talk about, is Krampus real? Right? It's kind of maybe a silly thing to think about, like, oh well, there's no way, or maybe you're on the other side of the fence and you are convinced. I actually, Krampus, unlike some of the other ideas that I have, my ideas about Krampus are less set in stone, but I do want to talk about the mind journey that I went on when I started thinking about, well, is Krampus real? All right. Now, I can't put a picture of Krampus on the screen because I tried to get some of those, and I was pretty sure, oh, I'll get flagged for violence or scary or whatever. YouTube loves flagging my channel, and that's all right. They can do what they want because I beat them at their own game. I have here an amateur sketch of Krampus. All right, well, two of them, okay? All right, so you guys are going to have to use your imaginations, all right? Back to work, almost done for the season. Nice. Way to go. See you, James. Have a good one. So, that's Krampus. He is often depicted as like a bipedal goat demon horned type, and in a lot of the images, even the old classic ones, in the movie that's made him so popular now, his tongue is, oh my gosh, it's huge, and it looks like he's some kind of like leper or something. His tongue is disgusting. That is represented here, as you can see, because even in the old stuff, you see his tongue come out, and I'm sure that if we went and really looked at that, there's all kinds of symbolism in there. Actually, I can tell you, see, this is why I wanted to do this live. Thanks, Amy. When you look at deities, right, or supernatural gods, evil things use their tongue. It's disgusting. Things that are righteous generally use their eyes. You think about Superman. Superman would use his laser vision, not his disgusting mouth. Bleh. It was laser vision. That's how he worked. And so I would not be surprised if that's why even in classical imagery, Krampus's tongue is all over the place, because he's a little disgusting. So, but that's okay. All right, I do have some some notes here, because again, these are not, we're not talking about my personal stories. I'm talking about evidence that I have to the things that I've learned that have swayed my thoughts one way or another about the paranormal. All right. So today, as the title suggests, we're talking about, is Krampus real? Oh, also, I call him Krampus most of the time. Sometimes I'll slip and say Krampus. In the movie, the old grandmother calls him Krampus. Even though it looks like it's pronounced Krampus, I have the feeling that they told that actor how to say the name correctly, and I just assume that's probably the correct way to say it. It just makes sense to me. It was a big production. If she did not say it correctly, that would be a horrible oversight, in my opinion. So, let's go and talk about, is Krampus real? If you have any comments, questions, just random thoughts, suggestions, you can put them in the chat. I'm doing this on my phone for the first time, again, because Mike the Naked Bigfoot did it this way, and it is much more user-friendly than I anticipated. So I like this. I like this a lot. This is convenient. But go on. Go in there. Say what you got to say. I can read just fine. Okay. So when I started thinking about whether or not Krampus was real, okay, and I actually do believe in, there are cryptids that I am literally convinced are in fact real, okay? I'm not going to say 100%, but I will use the words in other words, statistically speaking, do you think it is more likely or less likely that this creature exists? I would say yes, I do think this creature exists. This is the data that I have that supports these thoughts. So, but for Krampus, like I said, Krampus only popped up on my radar after watching that amazing movie. Watch it every year. It's so great. I have it on DVD. I have it on streaming. I don't own a Blu-ray player, but if I did, I would own it on Blu-ray. So I had to think a little bit. I said, well, is Krampus real? And I started, quiet. What does it mean to be real? But I didn't go as extensive. It's like, well, when you ask if something's real, there's actually different ways we can think about that. If I said, are dinosaurs real? Right? Yes, dinosaurs are not fiction. No, they are not around now. Right? We can say that's a true statement. Dinosaurs. So are they real then? They're not fiction. Dinosaurs are not fiction. Not fiction is kind of real. Let me go. So then, of course, I was thinking like, well, maybe then that means Krampus could have been real, right? That's an option in the past. There could have been Krampus. And that would actually put Krampus in the true or factual category. And then there's like the recent phenomena of Krampus. We have pop figures, and there's been all kinds of other movies since. So we've actually have this weird thing where it actually could be possible that Krampus did not exist in the past, but now, thanks to culture and media, is being pushed to the forefront and actually starts gaining, we'll call it like energy momentum, traction. Let's go ahead and, perfect. I have a little bit of data here about Krampus history that I'm going to go through so we can go and investigate. Krampus has its roots in Central and Eastern European folklore, particularly in regions like Austria and Bavaria. He's depicted as a half goat, half demon creature, and the counterpart to Saint Nicholas. There are links to, of course, pagan rituals. I wrote this stuff down, but now I'm like, that's kind of boring. Skip that. Here we go. This is where things are. So, that's Krampus then. Where are we now? Could Krampus, in history, hundreds of years ago, is it possible that Krampus was a misinterpreted other creature? Because that could also technically make Krampus real. If you consider misidentifying something does not necessarily make it fake. It does transform the way that it exists and possibly its function and things like that. But it's possible. So if we go and consider, there could be creatures, other cryptids that have gone extinct, possibly, that people could have seen. Or there could have even been creatures that we're all very familiar with. Oftentimes, I should say, in our current media, when we see Krampus, that coat that he's wearing, sometimes it's like a St. Nicholas coat, and that's pretty cool, but other times it looks very much like a bearskin. So if you had a bear, actually, the Ozark Howler, if you saw it from behind, would look very Krampus-like, and that's a cryptid. Yeah. So that's something that we can also consider, the Ozark Howler, and other creatures that may have existed in the past but are now, or creatures that do exist now but seen under the full moon or in combination with, we'll say, unfortunate events, acts of violence. Humans are trained to try to connect the dots whenever anything traumatic happens. So if some wild dogs ran through and started killing everything on your farm, but you didn't see them, and then you see some creature running through the woods and you misinterpret the data, you could very easily assign blame to this mythical creature. Well, no normal creature by itself could do all this damage. You don't understand. It was a pack of dogs before, so that is an option. All right, let's go to Krampus now. This is the good stuff. Okay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a tulpa is. I do have the definition written down here so I don't butcher it. There's no point because we have Google, so I can get those definitions very easy. A tulpa is a term that comes from Tibetan Buddhism, for those that don't know. I'm not a Buddhist, but I have read Ajahn Brahm's books, and I do sincerely appreciate his teachings. But a tulpa is a term that comes from Tibetan Buddhism, referring to a being or an object that is created through spiritual or mental powers. But in a more contemporary sense, a tulpa is often described as a thought form or an entity created from the collective belief and focus of a group of people. It's like the willing something into existence purely through collective mental effort. Okay? In as much as something can have a renaissance, it's almost like Krampus is in its renaissance. In Eastern Europe, they still have Krampusnacht, but now maybe an hour south of where I live, excuse me, maybe an hour south of where I live, we have Krampusnacht on December 5th. That's incredible. I live in the mountains in a very quiet portion of Pennsylvania. I only have to travel an hour to go to the Krampus party. It's almost miraculous. And some of that is due to the fact that we have things like social media. Thanks for that, Hart. I appreciate that. Some of that has to do with social media. We're able to connect so much easier. So even if interest is sparse in certain areas, if the surrounding areas also have sparse interest, is enough to bring them together to make something big happen. And the thing is, when you do that, the energy multiplies. There's a multiplicative power. It begins to gain traction, like a snowball going down the hill. So if you can imagine, if it hits this teeny tiny portion in the mountains of Pennsylvania, how many more Krampusnacht festivals are there? I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive I've known about them in New York for a couple years now. There are Krampus parties, technically. I throw one every year. It's not, we don't dress up like Krampus. We come, we eat food, we watch the movie, we have some laughs, play some games. It's a good time. But there is so much energy now going to Krampus, whether, and I'm not going to say that he is a fictitious being. I will leave it open, but I will say even if he is, that is a lot of mental energy and power going in that one direction. Oh, okay. So, wow, this is a cool one. Tony Robbins. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tony Robbins, but he wrote Awaken the Giant Within. He's like a motivational speaker kind of guy. and he talks a lot about thought streams and energy streams, and he says, well, if you're thinking thoughts that are subpar, right? Maybe the thoughts are not very good. If you're thinking thoughts that you don't want to think, he recommends literally changing your body's position. And the reason for this is the brain. Your brain is literally an antenna. Okay. Now, that might sound crazy, but you can actually look it up. The U.S. government has done experiments with controlling people using cell phone towers. This is not hokum. The data actually exists, and it's because your brain is a receiver, right? Actually, your brain is better than a receiver. It can both take in and project the energy. But I imagine that if you have control of cell phone towers or things like that, it's probably a lot easier to execute this. Hey, Gamma, what's going on, bud? Glad you could make it. So let's pretend I'm sitting here and my thoughts are very boring. Papa Bones is a very creative individual, right? I'm always... Oh, Gamma, just in case you missed it, it's an amateur sketch of Krampus. I don't... Is this... Actually, this is really important in chat. If this is written backwards for you where it says amateur sketch, please let me know in the chat, because from now on I will mirror this then. It'll just make things easier, right? So if it says amateur sketch mirrored to you, I apologize. That was an accident, all right? But this is the amateur sketch, so I don't get kicked off of YouTube for censorship. Awesome. Amy says it looks good. Perfect. So if I was thinking very boring thoughts, right? Thoughts I don't want to think. I want to be interesting and exciting. Maybe it's my body's position. My antenna, you know, like when you would play with the rabbit ears on the TV, my antenna is not in good position for picking up the good data. So I might get up and I might move around a little bit, right? Move around my space. And, oh, okay, in this position now, what am I thinking? I might start thinking, well, maybe I should do some exercise. Maybe I'll think of a story. Maybe I'll look out the window. I have a great window. Here we go. Right? I start looking out the window, and I think thoughts, big thoughts, thoughts that exist outside. Okay? And like I said, this is backed up by the U.S. government's own experimental data, which is interesting. Like most things, it's gotten buried. This came out before they admitted UFOs. Pardon me, I dropped my cheat sheets. This came out before they admitted UFOs, and oh no, it's not UFOs. Was it UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena? They can't call it UFOs because they worked so hard to make people that said UFO look crazy that if they say it, it's almost like they admit they were wrong, so we have to change the terms. I'm sure you guys understand. You guys live in the same reality that I live in. That's good. So, now these are theories that I've developed after Tony Robbins, Ajahn Brahm, these other teachers, including I was raised in the church, so I've got that going too. And what I try to do is I try to find one truth. Now you have to understand that we're so limited. If you believe in higher beings, we are so limited. It is like if you think about me to like one of my puppy dogs, right? The puppies, they can sit, they can follow, they know some words, but whatever it is that's above me, the distance has to be similar. So it's like that thing, whatever this thing is, me, and then equidistant away would be like my dogs, right? So it can be very difficult using what this much larger being's equivalent of dog mentality is. It could be very difficult to try to flesh out truths using my limited understanding. So what I attempt to do is literally find those truths by finding the common lines, right? So one of the things that I have theorized, which is backed up by Tony Robbins, Ajahn Brahm, that sort of thing, is that somebody can be so... a thought can become so powerful that it almost becomes independent. You would see this in things like the word Xerox machine. There's no such well, there's such a thing as a Xerox machine, but like if I hand you like a paper, hey, Xerox this for me, what I want is a copy. But Xerox was so powerful within that realm that now it's got its own road. Or Band-Aid versus bandage. Oh, I need a Band-Aid. Well, what you need is an adhesive bandage. But we all understand why, because Band-Aid, it carved its own way. When you see people like Abraham Lincoln, oh gosh, I'll show you guys. I have Abraham Lincoln pictures in my house. I happen to be very fond of Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is known as one of the most perfect leaders of people that has ever existed. I'm not going to get into why, because man, that's what I'm trying to stop myself from doing that. That's not what this is about. But just take my word for it. Abraham Lincoln was nothing sort of phenomenal. He would be the modern day equivalent of like a saint, but for like, I guess, U.S. politics, a U.S. political saint. I don't know. Jimmy, what's going on? We're just talking about Krampus. This is the amateur sketch, so that way you know who we're talking about. Important, and no scary stuff. Papa Joey, how are you doing? All right. So yeah, we're talking Krampus. We're talking Krampus today. But so if we have all of this energy going to Krampus, right? And energy, and we have thought energy and like thought channels almost. It's very reasonable to think that people, whether by position or focus or just by the environment around them, because again, Krampus is really gaining traction in our culture. It is not unreasonable to believe that Krampus would start manifesting himself using thought energy. And that sounds like hogwash until you consider, we see it on Facebook here and there. If you're old like me and still go onto Facebook sometimes, I read Facebook for the articles. You have people like, oh, someone paid off my Kmart layaway, right? Kmart's dead, right? Kmart is dead. Who does layaway now? It doesn't matter. Someone, whoever, you see these stories. Abe was Jesse Ventura before pro wrestling. He was. He was. Abraham Lincoln is by far my favorite. I've read 2 of his biographies, and when you walk into my house, I will eventually, not this time, but I'll go downstairs. I have one of his pictures where he's shaven, which is rare. You don't really see him shaven. I will tell you, Abraham Lincoln looks terrifying. I cannot imagine what it must have been like in an electricity-free White House, walking down the halls, seeing this tall, skinny, oh man, but what a guy, right? Oh my gosh, he was drinking tea, and now he has water. That's right, I've got all the drinks right there. I can drink anything I want to drink. So, when we go and see how the ideas of generosity and kindness manifest themselves as, paying for somebody's order at like Chick-fil-A, or paying for somebody's layaway, or just being generous, knowing that a family may be, this actually, my boss did this. I don't know if she's watching right now, but she actually did this. There was a family that we knew about, and they were doing the best they could. They were doing their best, but not really well. That's a fair way to say it. These people they would get oil from different companies to heat their house, but then never pay anybody. Eventually, they ended up blacklisted from everyone, and it's like, why didn't you pay them back over the summer? Then you wouldn't have done this. They had to move. It was insane. But while it was all going on, my boss was like, you know what? I'll get you guys. She bought them everything they needed. She also bought them Christmas gifts, and it was crazy. I mean, I was surprised by how much she'd done. Oh, my hair. I like my hair, but man, he's crazy right now. Looked a little better earlier. It's when I start fussing with it that he goes absolutely wild. I saw a bush that grew like this once. No, don't like it. Not important. Oh, I will get a haircut eventually. Eventually. Uh, yeah, she is an incredible person, and she got them everything they needed to make Thanksgiving happen. And she also went and for Christmas got uh, her kid a pair of really nice sneakers that he wanted, and uh, when you look at something like that, it's like, well, that could very easily be you accepting that channel, that energy of being generous, like Santa, right? That's who we think about. We think about giving uh, to children, and that sort of thing. But when you go and you consider, when you think about spankings, right? No one's ever like the spirit of Krampus took hold of him. But maybe it was time for some for some ass whooping. Right? No, I'm not saying that's the way. All right, guys, don't everyone get excited. Um, I will say, as someone that has worked with children for many years, that some children you just need to look at them, and they're like, oh, I will do correct. And some children, uh, they need a little more convincing. That's that's fair to say. It's silly to believe that it's a one size fits all sort of deal. Um, what is you like wax them with the sticks? Get a switch. Get them. Don't be scared. Beat them up. Oh man, we talk about that all the time at my job too. It's like, so I am Spanish, and that means that we handled this years ago the old-fashioned way, and now things are different. My kid still cuts up, but he doesn't really mouth off. See, there's a difference. Everybody cuts up. There's not a person in this chat that doesn't cut up, myself included. All right, but it takes a special kind of, I don't know, to cut up and mouth off at the same time. It's like there's a time for mouthing off, there's a time for not, and usually it's not. Grandpa told me the farm animals needed a whistle and some needed, yeah, that's it. That's it. It's not a one size fits all. It's not, you should, I've, one time when Roger was a little boy, I caught him, oh man, he had a fork and he was aiming for the outlet. And I felt the electricity run through my body, and I whacked him quick as I could, and he never did it again. Another time, though, to show that, it's not, I have many tools. That one over there, it's like, that was I love you so much that me hitting you would be a tickle compared to the sting you would receive from the outlet. Another time, though, when he was very small, I saw him climbing on the table. He's not a moron. He knows he's not supposed to be on the table. So I went and I was like, all right, well, we're going to go and give it a little earthquake test. And I just hip checked it real quick. And he didn't fall off the table. He was I made sure he was in a safe position. He got on all fours and turned around and was like, oh, and then he slowly backed off. Never did it again. Beautiful. So, it's definitely different strokes for different folks, but also even among people that are more open to the idea or recognize that there is a time and a place, like if somebody's going to go and get hit by a car, if there's danger involved, it's not like it's like a first, like, oh, well, that's it, he spilled the milk, get him. Don't be scared, beat him up. Anyway, I didn't start this to tell you guys that wait till he tests the 9-volt battery with his tongue. I don't know if he's ever done that. I mean, he's 15 now, and my nephew's 16, and they in all kinds of trouble. They're in auto tech together, and they mounted a car horn to the inside of my nephew's toolbox that operates with a button so they can scare the crap out of people in class. Their teacher's incredible. Their teacher's a magical person. All right, let me go and get back on task here. There we go. Okay, so I will leave with the fact that Krampus could have existed in the past. Could have been a miscategorized cryptid. Or, yeah, they get in trouble. They're good. They're good. And then the potential, I actually, I am convinced that Krampus is powerful enough right now, the energy at a minimum, that it can influence people's decision-making ability from time to time. Again, based on the fact that your brain's in antenna, body position, etc. I am at a minimum, I am convinced that Krampus exists there, at a minimum. Whether or not we have enough energy there to actually physically manifest Krampus, like Tulpa, like, I don't know. It would be fun for me because I don't think he'd come after me. Isn't that always? I'd love to see a dinosaur eat somebody else, right? That's always the way. But those are my thoughts on whether or not Krampus is real. Thank you all for joining me today. Take good care of yourselves. Once again, the Krampus amateur sketch for you guys. Hope everyone has an excellent day, and I'm going to be doing this quite a bit. I think that people... I think that this is the natural counter to people finding that someone lied. You know what I mean? Oh, look, this was fake. It's all fake. This is the natural counter. Is I have good reason to believe the things that I believe, and some people might not even have as good reasons, right? That's possible, but they have like the feeling inside. There's something pulling them. It's like magnetic energy, right? And that should be respected. It's important for the people to respect that, but at the same time, you can't really offer it as evidence. It's not something where I can, oh, look, this is what I have here. It's once you tell me that, you're leaning towards this, I know that exists inside of you. It's like there's something in there pulling you, but a little data never hurt anybody. I hope. All right, take care, everybody, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. Bye.